like I was running a company that made mountain bikes, and I was there to do like a trade show, and it was in the trade centers when they were still there. But later that night, all of the fellas from like 3 or 4 different bike companies said, "Hey, we're going out on the town. You got to go with us." These guys were all from the Northeast, and the first club we went to looked like a massive Catholic church. Like, I mean, just ornate as hell. And what they had done was bought the church, and they had turned it into a club. And I was like, man, I don't want to go in there. Like, I'm not, I don't think that it's going to fall on me or anything else. I just don't really feel like getting loaded in a church. It's just kind of, I don't know, give me a real weird vibe. And when they came out, my friend was like, "Oh, you should have gone in there. They had people in cages dancing." I was like, yeah, definitely. I'm pretty glad I just walked around Manhattan. It was a better night, I think. Was what's funny? This is really funny. Tommy Bird says, "I'd say stop by here, but I'd be lying if I said it was either on the way or close to anything or anywhere relevant." Nonsense. West Virginia is absolutely relevant. But Tommy Bird, can't hear you, Calvin. You got to get in my ear because I wanted to hear that. So figure out how you get in my ear because I missed it. I was flipping back through things this morning. I got up at about 4:00 and I was going through some stuff, and you go through old things. I'm going and deleting stuff, and I found a letter from you, Tommy Bird. I found a letter from you that you wrote. It was the vault. Tommy Sticks. It was the vault. What a trip. Wow. That's crazy. People, if you had any idea the size of that city that he just that's insane, Tommy. It really is. That's a trip. But Tommy Bird was asking for prayers because the following day he was going into to find out whether or not he was going to get locked up. You remember this, Tommy? And we had the whole crew waiting. And it was funny because once I found the thread, I started looking, and I found Mark Wages had texted me just over the moon, right? We had everybody, the whole lifeboat was like pitched on the edge of the boat, waiting to see whether or not Tommy Bird was going to go away for a few years or whether he was going to be back. And it was awesome because we did a show shortly. We did a live, and he came on and was like, "Not only am I not going away, but they apologized to me, told me they screwed up and killed the paper." It was just it was epic to reread it. So much crap goes on, Tommy, that it had come and gone. And I remember it was nuts, right? It was, I mean, honestly, everybody was so stressed out. And at the time, what did we have? We had about 20 people on the lifeboat, or 30 people on the lifeboat. So, we knew everybody. You know what, Tommy, you'd be surprised at how many times I'm in your social club, but I just don't say anything. When I get up in the morning, you're what I put on. For real. When I'm doing when I'm doing show prep and everything else, I've got the social club on, Tommy Sticks Social Club. I dig it. It sounds like home to me. You know what I mean? It sounds like, yeah, it's the only way I could say it. It sounds like home. I grew up, with a New York Italian family. It just sounds like home. We had a little bit more of a Long Island accent than your island, your big island. We had the little Long Island. The Midnight Show. I want to tell you something. You have a great sense of humor. Don't be afraid to use it. Some thick-skinned people here, people. I promise. If ever somebody steps on our feelings a little bit, we're going to say, "Hey, you know what? That stepped on my feelings a little bit." Not bummed out about it. Just wanted you to know so that the person doesn't continue to do it in the future. But nobody said anything yesterday on any live that hurt anybody's feelings. We had a ball yesterday on that live. And did we go a little left of the railroad tracks? We did. And I'm glad we did, because it was a heavy conversation, man. I think one of the reasons that we end up doing that every single time we do it is because we've been diving into some really heavy stuff, right? When you're talking to a girl who opens up about the fact that her father was a piece of crap that told her she was fat all of the time, right? That's hard. In fact, it's harder than I can wrap my brain around. So it's pretty cool if we can get a good laugh at the end of it. And I'm telling you, if you're a content creator right now, but pay attention, listen up. This is a good one. I'm gonna do you a solid. If you are a content creator, right? and you would like to create about 20 minutes of really funny content, ask your audience if they could suggest a very funny way to say, how else could we say hit the like button and sit back, because it's going to get really funny really, really quick. It's funny too. DJ Daddy-O, good to see you, my man. That is a solid individual right there, for real. That's a dude I will call one of my own, right? Ace Deuce, not all you are friends. I promise you, every single one of you, friends and family. But then you got your Ace Deuce, and that's the guy that you would go in there and, grab the shank and follow him wherever he's going, even if you know he's in the wrong, even if you know that you're fighting for this guy because he's screwed up, but you're going to still go fight for him. Mr. T is one of those, man. He is. He's one of those. Conversations with Christy. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. I hope you are acclimating. For those who don't know, because we do try to keep up with everybody on the boat here, right? Our Christy left and went, halfway across the country, right? If not, maybe a little bit more. And that's always tough. She's got a real big change, but doing well. You know what, Lisa Trimble? How are you this morning? Still feeling a little buzz from yesterday? No one's mad at you. No one is mad at you. And since you've been open, and we talked about this on the air before, that would be a benzo we're talking about, right? I don't do that if people haven't already done it here, but Lisa's talking about a benzo, if I'm not mistaken. Lorazepam, right? Should be the chem name for Audubon, little pink houses. For you and me. If you ever see the name brand, they are actually shaped like a one-room schoolhouse, a perfect little shape of a one-room schoolhouse with supposed to be an A, but it just looks like a one-room schoolhouse. And when they first released the big ones, like the 5 milligram numbers, they were pink. And boy, oh boy, it was way too much. It was a very strong drug. Listen, people, to everybody involved, right? Pay attention, everybody. You got to get this mindset out of your head, right? There's a couple of things that I don't want this boat to cause to happen, right? Yeah, Ben, read the lyrics of it, especially the last verse. You will realize what that song is about. But here's the deal. You start a channel like this with the idea that you're going to come and you're going to support people. It is going to be a peer support group, not a doctor. I'm never going to be a doctor. I don't have any friggin' desire to be a doctor, even if I could, which, by the way, I can't. Right? They get a little dicey about the felonies. But what I'm here to do is just say, I got out of this, right? And I fell so far down that friggin' rabbit hole that if I can climb back out of it, virtually anybody can crawl out of it, right? That was the purpose of showing up here. But then what happened is a bunch of people got the message. And we started to also talk very seriously about connection. And I'm glad that we did, right? Because it is much bigger than drug addiction. It really is. It's way bigger than that because everybody's struggling. There's nobody on this earth that's got it figured out. I promise you, from the richest man on earth, right, to the person right now trying to find a place to sleep. They haven't got it figured out. No one does. I promise you. I happen to personally believe that someone at one point did have it figured out. He's no longer with us. You know what I believe. But there's nobody walking around today that's got it figured out. So this is what we try to do. We try to work on this, yeah. And for some people, they use drugs, and for others, it's eating or it's whatever. But this connection stuff is about as real as it gets. It really is. Trouble becomes a lot of people get to the party just a pinch late. Okay, and something pretty jacked when, like, I got an email and I was going to read it out loud, but the person has not said to me, hey, I'm cool with you reading this out loud. If they were, then I would absolutely do it. Because this person wants to get off pain medication, right? This person, if I tell you the mechanism of the injury, I might be outing this person. Let's just say this. The injury that this person sustained was worthy of being, far gnarlier than anything that anyone should ever have to endure, right? At any time. And when you hear this and you realize that this person is taking pain medications because the person is in pain, right? Now, if you're in pain, maybe you should be taking pain meds. And it's kind of a bummer that the channel that was set out to make it so that people were not going to, to struggle alone or suffer in silence is literally in some ways creating people who are suffering. We're not here to tell you that drugs are horrible and that everybody on the earth should stop taking them. Are you getting this? There are a crap load of people who are going to eat Valium today who need to eat Valium. There are a bunch of people today that are going to ingest pain medication who need pain medication. Feel me? Now, I have said a bunch of times, if you're following the instructions on the pill bottle, there's a real good chance you don't have a problem. Because I think it's a pretty solid way to say it's an easy indicator. Because I can't say to you you're a drug addict. Only you can say to you you're a drug addict. But what I can say to you is, if you can't follow the instructions on the side of the bottle, that's usually a bad sign. If you're running out of your script on the 6th day you got it, but it's supposed to last you a month, that's an issue. You feel me? At that point, you got to start asking. Congratulations, Danny. I love it. Clean since 2016. Love it. From time to time, let's say you're taking that pain medication and you had that ridiculous accident that just crushed a leg, ruined an arm. You're for the rest of your life going to need to be taking some kind of a pain med, right? There are days you're going to wake up and for whatever reason, it's going to be 10 times worse than it was the previous day. And you know what? On that day, it isn't going to get it done. And on that day, instead of taking 2 pills twice a day, you end up taking 4 because the pain is so bad, you can't not take 4. Does that make you a drug addict or a bad person? If you continue to take those 4 because you cannot go back to the 2, you need to go talk to your doctor. If the pain doctor, right, is legit and you are legit in pain, 99% of the time, they're going to help you get to the dose that is going to help you. Now, are they going to treat some people like crap because of all of the people that went in there trying to get over on them? Yeah. You got to understand this. If you're a pain doctor, if you treat pain pain, about 3 out of every 10 people that walk through your door are not in pain, right? 30% of the people that come in there are trying to get over on you. And that's their estimate, by the way. I think it might be a little bit bigger than that. I think it might be a little bigger than that. But whatever, their job is to figure out who's in pain and who's isn't. And I got news for you. They don't make a machine for that. They don't. They look at you and they judge you. Right? I have a doctor that I am corresponding with. She is a crew member on the Lifeboat. And I thank God that she is because her perspective is fantastic. But I got an email this morning. And you know what, man? I dig every email I get. And there are so many of them that put a lump in my throat or bring me to tears. It happens every day. I'm an emotional dude. I'm an Italian guy. Right. But this doctor wrote me and I was reading it. They were talking about the rant I went on yesterday, right? Where I talked about how the doctor treated me and, I was pissed. And the doctor was too, by the way, the doctor that's corresponding with me. So when I went on and I said, this doctor wrote to me and said, you know what I would have loved to have had, where's all that money that the Sacklers were handing out? Because I certainly didn't get any. And I kind of answered back in the video where I said, you know what? I believe that 99 out of 100 doctors don't take any money, right? I believe that. Kapoor, the guy just went that in 2020, the guy that ran Insys, it's a company based here in Arizona. They had a product called Subsys, a little spray you put underneath your tongue, which gives you a instant blast of, you guessed it, fentanyl. Now, this was designed for people who had cancer and an end-of-life diagnosis. Hey, you got 9 months to live. Okay, get him some Subsys. Sprays this under his tongue. Who cares if he gets addicted? He's going to be dead in 9 months, right? They're trying to make the quality of life of this person as good as you can for the last 9 months. That's the idea. trouble is they started writing scripts for this for menstrual pain, headaches. It's not what it was designed for, right? It's not what it was designed for at all. Yet, they started writing huge amounts of scripts for it. One doc in particular, who has yet to be convicted but is on his way, he received $230,000 in speaking fees, which ain't a bad deal, right? By the way, this is Dr. Seth. His last name is Seth. He is from Arizona. Good dude. Dr. Seth had written 23 prescriptions for the drug Subsys in his career, right? In his career. Then he started to speak for them occasionally. Then he began to write over 30 a month, right? And when they interviewed him, he said, I've given less than 1% of my patients that medication, right? So I think that that's not, over the top. Now, that's the truth, right? So what we used to call creative truth. When I was a public speaker, right? They would say, what percentage of people who buy this are going to be successful? I would say less than 1/2 of 1%. And that's just the way it is with anything, right? Never stop people from buying. The statistics, right? Don't tend to match up. But this cat's going to prison for 5.5 years. And the government just said, you're going. He was able to get out on 2 different times because that's what happens if you're a white-collar criminal. They give you a prison sentence, but you don't actually do it, right? You get out, you go. Well, they said no appeals. This cat's going to do his nickel, which is great. It's not enough. Danny, I'm so glad you're here, man. I really am. Glad that you're here. Good morning, Tommy and the Lifeboat crew. Just wanted to take a moment to tell you how much I appreciate what you do. Well, thank you. On the 6th of 2022, my best friend, like a sister, lost the war with her addiction. Well, thoughts and prayers for you and for the family of your friend's sister. I am sorry for your loss. It's horrific, isn't it? It's horrific that this is the world that we live in. There's nobody in this chat right now. There's nobody in this chat right now that does not know someone who either they know personally who lost that fight, or they know someone whose son, daughter, whatever, close friend. This has touched everybody on planet Earth. What do you say, Johnny Scoville?
Greetings.
But the Johnny Scoville, the man who brought you the tube of terror. Going to work. All right. But listening in my ear. But Danny, we're glad you're taking care of business. You know what I mean? Glad that you're listening, but taking care of business is a good one, man. We're glad that you're listening. But let me finish what I was going to say, because this is the coolest thing ever. And by the way, it also means that the new medication I'm taking is working, because I get off of subject, but then I kind of get back to it, which is what used to happen as a public speaker. It used to be a hell of a lot of fun. Yes, Johnny is here, which is cool. So I'm reading this email. The doctor said, after listening to my rant yesterday about how 1% the doctors can destroy it for everybody, and 1% of prison guards can destroy it for anybody. All it takes is one prison guard to be a stone cold piece of crap, and everybody will think all prison guards are, right? They're all bringing dope in, right? They're all sleeping with the female inmates. They're all doing all these things, because it only takes one to do something like that, to taint every other one, which sucks. And it's the same thing with doctors, right? You got one doctor writing 1,100 prescriptions a day for OxyContin. You know how many other doctors look like crap because of that dude? But the doctor that wrote to me said, I'm showing this video to every single one of the students that I have coming through my residency from now on. I used to do the same speech, she said. She said, but you know how, like, when you're a kid and you hear something from your parents, but then you hear something from a different adult, and it's just different because they're not your parents. Apparently, doctors that are about to be doctors are going to be watching the Lifeboat. I think that's fantastic too, Kristen. I really do. I think it's fantastic. The voice, right? That this is our voice, right? It really is. This is our voice. Boy, oh boy. Jail is not for addicts. I was in a cage next to a guy that had a 40-day 40-day bag a day heroin habit. He was screaming in pain. It was brutal. Is 40 bags a day possible? Absolutely. If he was doing, and he was doing China White, right? Because you're in New York, so he wasn't doing tar. He was doing stamps. Absolutely, you could do 40 stamps a day. Nothing to it. I promise you. When Philip Seymour Hoffman, God rest his soul, that we lost a really, really good one in Philip Seymour Hoffman, but the place they found him, they said that there were, the number 40 actually came up. There were 40 that were filled that still had stuff in them, but there were, I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them just lying empty. When you open these people, it's plasticine is what they used to call it. It's a very odd kind of paper, right? That you can fold. It will fold up nicely so you can make like a Coke fold out of it, but nothing sticks to it. It's a very, very odd material. They were called stamps or papers. And inside they call them papers, but on the outside they call them stamps. And the reason they do is because, thank you, Z-Dub. The reason they call them stamps is because on the outside of that is literally going to be a stamp, right? And the stamp will say, like, it'll have a shamrock on it and say good luck, or it'll have cherries and it'll say cherry bomb, or it's the way you can identify the dope that you're buying so that you get. And then when somebody overdoses, right, and they'll go on TV and they'll say, you know, the stamp on the outside of this said Moonlight in Vermont, right? And everybody and their brother are going to the dealer and saying, hey, you got that Moonlight in Vermont? Odd world we live in, right? But that's the truth. Yeah, Stiggs, believe it or not, I got up to about 6 to 7 grams a day by the end. So I had, at the time, it was running me about $600 or $700 a day to do my habit. It was just, I mean, I was doing mountains of it. Over time, opioids are incredible for how big your tolerance can get. It is a very, very unusual. Bindles, absolutely. When you get, usually when there's more than one of them, right, you buy you a bindle. In fact, I'm in the process of making one because I know I'm confusing at least half of the people here. So I just grabbed a quick receipt. And the concept of the stamp or the fold or the bindle, right, is that you start with a square and it's made out of this material that nothing will stick to. So you don't open up the inside of your stuff and find out that your dope is stuck to the paper and you're not going to be able to get well. It will fall right off of it, right? So, but it starts out as a square and you fold it into the triangle, right? So it's a triangle that folds in on itself. And then the corners of the paper fold in. And there's a method to this madness, right? There's a reason I'm doing this. And then you fold in the other side. And what happens is it fits inside of itself, right? The corners actually insert into each other. This creates a pocket inside the paper that nothing can fall out of, right? So this is how the crap is sold on the East Coast. You got this little pocket, right, of stuff that's plasticine. Then when this folds over like so, sorry, this is cactus stuff. When this folds over, the paper then folds down into itself and you get a small little square bindle like so, right? And the stamp would go on the outside of it. And a dealer will have a bag with 60 or 70 of these in it. Now, the color of the stamp is going to signify how much crap is inside it. So you could be buying, it's got 3 shamrocks on it, right? 3 lucky clovers. So 3 lucky clovers that are red are going to be a half a gram. 3 lucky clovers that are green could be a gram. 3 lucky clovers that are blue are going to have a teener or an 8-ball in it. You follow me? So they're going to be packages anywhere from a point. It's going to be 1/10 of a gram, going all the way up to probably 3.5. I don't think they're going to be doing too much more than that in folds, in stamps. After that, you got to start buying what they call pieces, and there are 40 pieces in a kilo, so it runs out to be 25 grams. 25 grams. Hey, thank you, Tommy Stiggs. And not only do I have coffee, I usually drink it with you in the morning. I really do. If you guys have never gotten over and checked out the social club in the morning, I'm usually there lurking. I'm not trying to sound cool. I swear to God, I'm not at all, but I'll use Johnny as an example because Johnny told me this really early on when I first started to get going. He said, you're going to get to a day where if you pop in somebody's chat and say hello, you're going to screw up their chat, right? Like you're massively going to screw up their chat. And because a lot of times people will start, hey, and I don't like derailing shows too often if I can avoid it, but I'm there a lot. And
it's accidental trolling.
It's accidental trolling. You know what I mean? It really can be. I don't want to take anybody off of the game or anything to do them, but I love the social club. Tommy, I'm there. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I'm there at least 5 days a week. I don't miss it. The last verses, the very last line of Little Pink Houses, the pays the bills, the pills, or the chills, the pills that kill. Somebody Google that. Last verse of Little Pink Houses by Mellencamp. My producer's on it. You're not going to beat him. But I just thought I would put that out there for laughs. Uh-oh, look at this. Stay Spiria. You seeing this? I love it. She gets it. She gets it. She was told there would be no math. And there shouldn't be. I'm there too in the bushes. I love it. Because the simple man pays for the thrills, the bills, the pills that kill. Thank you. By the way, start getting up to that 5 milligram mark on lorazepam, and you got a pretty good chance, especially if you start mixing it with booze, that bad things happen. Never mix respiratory depressants. Feel me? The biggest BG fan live stream. I'm a fan. If you want to hear this, is going to make you sick, but I'm going to tell you the truth. If you said you got to list 5 concerts that you could go back and see, I promise you, one night only from the Bee Gees would have been in my top 5. It's going to bum you right out, but I'm telling you the truth. Sinatra would have been in there. I would have liked to have seen Sinatra. Queen absolutely would have been in there. Now, don't you leave a comment now to tell me where you saw Queen and you were in the front row, because I will block you. I will throw you off this boat and I will block you.
I'll just leave. I'll just find a live stream where they aren't making me feel bad.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Tommy. She's way better looking than you, bro. As far as twin sister goes, you guys may be around the same age, but she got all the looks in this sister twin thing here. Fancy Nancy, who's basically Tommy's twin sister, had a question. She asked, if a pill addict tells the doc they are addicted and will go on the street for the fix, what does the doc do? That's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. I have told the doctor that in the past. And my doctor, who was a pain specialist, said to me, I can't treat you, right? You tell me that, and I'm not going to be able to continue to work with you. Now, she said, well, here's my solution. We're going to change the medication that you're on. And we went from a combination of about 6 different drugs, painkillers, to taking 340 milligrams of methadone a day. Now, I don't know how much you know about methadone, but that's a stink pile of dalphine. That's a lot of methadone, right? It's a terrifying amount of methadone, in all honesty. And I did very little of it. I ended up just taking it back to the street, selling off all of that stuff and buying heroin with it. Oh, you don't have to bite your tongue, Coffee. We're all friends here. Let it fly. Let it fly. You can beat on the Bee Gees if you want. I mean, I know not everybody likes them. Not everybody likes them. But I'm a fan. And you know what? They would definitely be in my top 5. I would never tell the truth about that stuff with any doctor, says Tampa B Man. This is a popular opinion among most people that do drugs. There are 2 people that you do not lie to. This is my humble opinion. Okay? And those 2 people are your oh, no. A queen. Okay, I'm going to let it slide, Coffee Just because I love you. I'm going to let it slide. Don't lie to your doctor. Don't lie to your lawyer. Right? Those are the 2 people you don't lie to. Because if you lie to your lawyer's going to find out that you lied to them when you're on the stand and someone is asking you a question that you shouldn't have ever been asked. Right? Honestly, don't lie to your lawyer. But if you lie to your doctor, right, you're going to die. when we lie to our doctors, doctors will write you prescriptions for things that should never be mixed, right? They will write you a script. If they know you're abusing stuff on the street, they need to be able to say to you, yo, you're doing what? My pain specialist, when I walked in the first time and she put me through the whole deal, right? And oh, no problem, Tony. And we did the PET scans and all of that stuff. And she said to me, don't lie to me. How you been treating this up to this point? Because you didn't walk in here, right, without being on something. Because I was at this point, like I had my broken neck hadn't even healed. I mean, I was messed up. I had just broken my C6 vertebrae. I was in bad shape, and I was working as a public speaker. So she was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I have a pharmacist that's selling me Loratab in a bag this big. I'm not exaggerating. This big, popped out to the side. It was one of those 1 gallon Ziploc freezer bags, and it would be stuffed with Loratab. And I was eating 14 of them at a time, and I was doing it about 3 or 4 times a day. And that was the number. I titrated myself. I kept going up until I got to the point where I was no longer in pain, and had a real good buzz. And that was 14 pills 3 times a day. And when I told her that, like the look on the doctor's face, she almost had a heart attack. She said, we need to have a ultrasound on your liver. There was like all of these things because she wasn't worried about the medication. She was worried about the acetaminophen. Every one of those pills had 350 milligrams of acetaminophen in it. And I was taking 14 of them at a time, 3 times a day, and drinking at least a 6-pack because I was playing golf every day. That's what we were doing. We were playing golf, right? And you had to eat enough pain meds so that you could swing a golf club. We were public speakers. We played golf. And then at the end of the week, we went and got on an airplane. But all we did was the amount of opiates that were getting consumed were terrifying. But if you lie to your doctor, right? If I had gone in there and said to her, I'm not taking anything on the street, I promise you, doc. Then she would have looked at me and gone, well, he's not in that much pain, is he? All right, tell you what, here's 6 hydrocodone, right? Take some. But when you say to somebody, I'm taking 14 of these things 3 times a day, and she's looking at me as a doctor and going, I don't see a buzz. I don't see, right? There's nothing on this guy that says he's high. So my first prescription from her was a bag, and it had OxyContin 80s. It had OxyContin 40s. It had 10s and 5s, right? And it said, find your own dose, right? Self-titrate. Figure out where your dose is. And I just looked at her like, what? She's like, keep taking the pain meds until you are not in pain. Not a pain level of a 1, or take them until you're not in pain. Figure out what that dose is. And I went back in and said, I'm taking 12 of these a day. And she went, okay. Okay. Right. The Sacklers had told her, along with everybody else, that you got to try to get addicted to this stuff. Right. You got to try. That's literally what she said to me. Don't worry. You got to try to get addicted to this stuff. I mean, I was addicted before I walked in the door. Right. I can crap on the Sacklers, but I'm not crapping on them for me. I'm crapping on them for the 980,000 people that are dead. That's what I'm crapping on them for. And on the bright side, Kapoor, right? The guy that said, maybe I'll just start my own Sackler empire. He got busted. Insys, right? A lot of those people are in deep, deep doo-doo. And that's at least something. 5 years in prison for what he did. Holy hell. I mean, that's a lot of fentanyl to sell and go to prison for 5 years. If I got caught selling 0.5 gram of it, I'd spend the rest of my life in prison. Think about that. That's no joke either. With my criminal record, if I got caught selling 0.5 gram, if I got caught selling 2 of those M30 pills, I'm doing life in prison. But the people at Insys were not only dealing dope, they were dealing dope to people who were not supposed to be taking that kind of dope. Right? This stuff was designed for people who were literally dying. And if you could see the crap that they were writing scripts for this for, migraines, I got news for you, man. Right? I'm a drug addict. I am. There's no one on planet Earth that liked opiates more than I do. They don't do shit for a migraine, I promise you. They just don't. It's not really a great drug for that. But I guess they're working on some other stuff, man. Right? I guess they're working on some other stuff. We'll see how it goes. American Greed. It's I'm familiar with that show. Well, a lot of people. I've actually got. I know a bunch of people. Suffice to say, I know a bunch of people that have been on American Greed. Personally, a couple of really good friends actually. But popular show on the inside too. You're always looking to see if, especially because a lot of what they cover are federal crimes. So you're always kind of looking around the day room to see if if one of these cats might be in your room. Oh, good for your mom. Huh? Good for your mom. Blessed to Crochet. Great comment. That is a great comment. No, Johnny's not a good lurker. No, he's not. Yeah, he's not very good at it. He just did the threw away the old key thing. He won't really do it though. He can't help. If the doctors you are going to, if you don't feel like you can be honest with them, right? Find new ones. Straight up. You need a team of people who have a vested interest in treating your pain or your heart or whatever, right? But all of these people involved need to be on the same page. If they are not, you need to find new ones, right? Thoughts and prayers for your father. Thoughts and prayers for your dad. That is that's a horrific ailment. So if we could get some thoughts and prayers for our friend's father, because that's arterial lateral sclerosis, right? Something. It's Lou Gehrig's disease. It's awful. It's your trigger point injection day. Oh, Barbie, been there, done that. I used to get over 30 on each side of the spine. They go all the way down. On the bright side, those needles are really, really thin. But they put a lot of them in, and it doesn't feel good when the Novocaine first goes in. You get that kind of a burn. It's not that fun, but hang in there. Hang in there, Barbie. Crazy girl, good to see you this morning. Glad you're here. Queen of Awkwardness, Danielle McCoy. Glad you're here. Izzy, good to see you. You got to do the roll call because it bums out new people. And then you know what? We should shake them out while they're new. If you've not hit subscribe to the Lifeboat, please fondle that subscribe button for me, please. It is what we do, right? It's my report card. That and the thumbs up or thumbs down. Hey, if I suck, give me a thumbs down. However, if you enjoyed this today, do hit the thumbs up, people. We're trying to push this boat into waters it has never been seen in. Karen, I agree with you. If it's not the biggest lie, it's certainly in the top two, right? They told some pretty big whoppers about a couple of other drugs along the way. But this one has killed probably more than all others. I think it may not, I don't know. There are some arguments. The Quaalude is pretty tough. You know, a lot of people left planet Earth because of Quaaludes. But and then they went up to Congress and they held hearings and they got that drug to where nobody injects it anymore, except in South Africa. For you South Africans, I'm not exactly sure why, but you can still get a Quaalude in South Africa. They don't call it a Quaalude, they call it a Mandrax, but it is the exact same drug. You and your kitty girly watch the boat and squirrel together. Nice. I try not to do anything without my kitty. To be really honest. This is the reason that she's chilling immaculate with me while I do the Lifeboat, because she is. Never been to a concert in 52 years. Well, you need to remedy that, my friend. Post haste. I promise you are going to thank me. Go see somebody perform music live. It is a beautiful thing. Tammy says Quaaludes. Awesome. You know, I'd like so much to say, don't say that. But it was a pretty good time. Mandrax is vital to the informal economy. Do you know that you are not the first person to say that almost word for word? Boy, I wish I could. I'll go back and find the comment. Promise you I will. And I'll bring it up. We had someone from South Africa that was very, very active in the early days of the Lifeboat. And I started to tell a story about me and my brother. And when he got pulled over by the cops once on Mandrax, and he was just, well, we were in two different cars, right? And I come around the corner. We're in Texas. I come around the corner. We're almost home. We're about what, mile and a half from the house. And I see lights on the side of the road. I was like, damn, I got to keep it together, right? Because that stuff makes you, I'm like, I got to keep it together. I got to get by this cop. And as I'm getting up closer to it, I'm like, damn, dude. He had an Eagle Talon at the time. It had just come out, but Johnny had an Eagle Talon. I'm like, that's my brother's car. And I pulled up behind him and got out and walked up to talk to the cop, because that's what you do when a cop pulls somebody over. They're very happy about that. If you've never done it, you should really try, because man, it is fun. They get really dicey. Like, you may be interested in killing them. Like, for real. I got out of the car and the dude's hand like immediately went for his piece. And then I think he figured out that I looked a hell of a lot like the guy he had just pulled over. And I went up and started telling him some unbelievable lie about the medication my brother took or whatever. And I don't remember exactly how, but we did leave. Johnny didn't get arrested. I don't remember how, but that Mandrax is something. But I was telling the story, and this person said, "Oh, we still have it here." And I was like, "There's no way. There's no way." Right? That cannot be. So I started to do a little research, and absolutely, you guys still have them. They still even package it the same way. Like, I looked at pictures, that freaked me right out. It really did. But Mandrax was that was Big Pharma's way to kind of get around what happened up on the hill when they did away with methaqualone, right? Because technically, Mandrax is not methaqualone. It's not the exact same drug, but it is the exact same drug. Shannon Smith says, "What was a lewd like?" Well, I think the best way that I could describe it would be if you've ever done any tripping, right? If you've ever taken a drug that like causes you to have a slight break with reality, like L.S.D. or mushrooms or MDMA or ayahuasca or any of those like kind of heavy trippy kind of things. Some of them, right? You get kind of a happy feel. Valium will tranquilize you. Xanax will also tranquilize you. But Xanax has an element in it that makes you happy. Quaaludes are like drinking a 12-pack, right? But nobody gets unhappy when they drink a Quaalude 12-pack. Sometimes people drink real beer and they kind of cry in the beer. Quaalude had a thing that didn't really let you cry in a Quaalude. Like, nobody really gets bummed out or got bummed out on it. But it was like drinking a 12-pack without having to drink a 12-pack.
And if you drank a beer.
And God forbid, you decide to have a few beers with it. You probably saw The Wolf of Wall Street. They overdo everything, but it gives you the idea of what it's like, and they don't overdo it much. That scene where the guy goes, "Why?" Like, I'm not joking. Quaalude speak was one of the funniest things that ever came out of the drug world, because two people on it would communicate, but you would sit next to them and watch people and go, "What the hell was that?" Right? Two people going, right? Obviously, like, they're communicating, but the only people that seem to get that one figured out were the other people in the loop. It's the true story of Jordan Belfort. Here you go. If you happen to have seen that movie, he did not destroy a Lamborghini in real life. Okay, didn't happen. But they thought it would make for a better scene in the film, so they destroyed a white Lamborghini. What he was driving was a 560 SE or SL Mercedes, the little convertible. He was driving his wife's car the night he destroyed that. But apparently, it was worse in real life than it was in the movies. They could not film that scene. They could not do that scene justice. Apparently, Jordan hit homes, porches. Like, he literally just went home like a pinball. Anything, like, he didn't turn until the car hit something, and then he would kind of bring it back. And then when it would hit something, he would kind of bring it back again.
They just auctioned that car off, the destroyed Lambo. And in the destroyed state it fetched 1.6 million.
Yeah, that's just incredible. That's just incredible.
And no one's going to fix it.
And no one's going to fix it, right?
They aren't.
The poison is pure DMT. Yes, we DMT, another same type of stuff, very very heavy stuff. So, but the Quaalude was just, it was a barbiturate, and barbiturates in general. So if you did Seconal, Tuinal, any of those barbiturates, they were replaced by benzodiazepines. The reason being, prior to benzos, what you treated anxiety disorders and things with, you treated it with barbiturates. Trouble is, barbiturates can kill you. They cause a lot of accidental overdoses. Phenobarbital is about the last one that is still around that they still write prescriptions for. But of all of the phenobarbital was always it's kind of like the first rung on the ladder of, and it's probably the reason that it's still around and the rest of them aren't. But yeah, you can still get phenobarbital. It's nothing like a Quaalude, but it is the same family. Living in the gray area says, thank you for answering my psychedelics healings question the other day. I hope one day that the world finds a way to have anyone be able to safely heal that way. Here's the thing. You know what it takes? It takes the people that do this, right? It takes the people that do this, that have had wild success with it, to have the, you know what, to admit it. Because very often people who have used this type of therapy and had amazing success with it don't want anyone to know that what really helped them was tripping on mushrooms. So there are people who are, very successful in the business world, and people who are doctors and lawyers and cops, right, that are never going to come off the fact that the way that they literally rewired their brain was by tripping. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But I'm here to tell you, right, that I am a firm believer that the landscape of the mind is something we have not done a whole lot of exploring on. And yeah, I don't think you walk through it without being able to buy some kind of a ticket to get there. And that ticket always is going to be some type of a psychedelic, because you're breaking. What the concept is, and you can go ahead and hate me, I don't care, but the concept is that you're going to try to separate yourself from the ego and the superego. And there is nothing on planet Earth that will let you know you're a jackass quicker than tripping. Am I wrong? So you do cocaine and you're a loser, and cocaine will make you think you're a winner for about 3 hours. For real. You will walk around the club like you're cool. You roll up $100 bill, start patting everybody on the back and bragging about how much your dope cost. Right? And every drug has a bit of an element to that until you get into the trip drugs, because they're not going to let your ego, right, tell you how cool you are. There's something about tripping where you start doing that and your ego goes, yeah, Tommy, you're really not that cool. By the way, you're also old, right? And there's just a lot of, you're a jackass anyway. Well, I think that for me, when, for me, and it's going to be different for every single person, but for me, if you're just hearing what I'm saying and your idea is, I got a hit of acid I've had in the freezer for 6 years, I'm going to go trip and walk around the city, and when I come home, I'm going to be realigned. That's not what this is about, right? There is really a guided tour of your mind. Yeah. That's the concept, is that you're going to go on a guided tour. Miss Sunrise Dawn, have a great day. Thank you for all you do. The concept being, this guided tour that you go on starts long before you ingest the drug. Ego death, cup of coffee says. Good comment. Right? This is the concept. It's finding out who you really are, not who you want the world to think you really are. Right? And I'll tell you something. As as the convict or the bank robber or whatever, to come on a channel and cry for the entire world to see like you don't give a crap is something that takes a paradigm shift, right? In how you believe and how you do what you do and how you think what you think. Brianna Miller says it sounds scary. Oh, it is. It is. DeAudrey Gore says set and setting is everything for tripping. It is. But with this one, what you're going to do is for a couple of weeks before you ingest this stuff, right? You're going to be journaling. You're going to be laying out what the idea is behind this walk that you're going through, right? So it's not just the, hey, toss me a gram of that, right? There is a concept behind this. And there are signposts along the way and things that you are aiming, right, to do. Now, it's just a personal opinion, right? This is one guy talking. This is not a journey I would go down personally, right? With something that was manufactured. That's me. Right? I think that I have this concept, that I kind of feel like we didn't find alcohol anywhere on this planet. We had to create it. And I don't think it's worked out real well. Of all of the stuff that we didn't have to create in the drug world, there's only a couple of them. And it just seems to me that those don't seem to be the really dangerous ones. The ones that just seem to have been here, right? Like they were just here, but happened to affect you. Those seem to be a lot less dangerous, in my humble opinion, right? So I get a little freaked out about a piece of paper, right? That is that big, that can completely rewire me for, 12 hours. That's a freaky drop of liquid to me. That scares the crap out of me. Now, the mushroom thing, I don't know, maybe it's my Alice in Wonderland stuff, but mushrooms to me always made a whole lot of sense. Acid to me, and I've done a lot of it, but I'm not a fan. To me, it's a completely different animal, even though it is very much like the same thing. You flipped an egg right out of the pan yesterday. I've done that. I did it. My first egg ever with my Spanky's mom. I was trying to be cool, and we had one of those frying pans that nothing was supposed to stick to. So I did that, and it went right on the floor of our new apartment. It was the very first egg I ever made as a married man. I killed it. I did the same thing. I tried to salvage it. I mean, it was a clean floor. No big deal. We fed it to the kid. I'm kidding, Calhoun. I never would have done that to you. You were busy eating cat food at the time. You were the spoiledest kid. You know what? If I was thinking about this, Calhoun, somebody sent me an email of a list of questions that they wanted me to answer. And I get these a lot, and I never answer them. I just don't do this. But one of the questions was that, like, when I talked about the Y Coulier the other day and how I hyped up their skiing, and they said, I bet you wish all of that was on film. Is there anything else in your life that you wish, like, what would you, if you could go back and say, I wish that was filmed, what would it have been? And I thought, that's a hell of a question, right? That is a hell of a question. And so I sat and started to journal about it. And it was a Spanx Calhoun moment. My boy was terrified of rain. Like he really, really, it started to rain from the time he was a very young kid. Same with just water in general used to scare the kid really, really badly. And in Texas, you get these rainstorms that are more epic than you can imagine. Like raindrops come down and they're the size of your fist. And we lived in this apartment that we rented in the middle of the day, and we probably should have gone by at night. You know what I mean? Like we lived in the ghetto. we had a real big apartment that was real cheap. I mean, it was huge. You could play baseball in it. And there was a reason it was that cheap. Like we lived in the hood. But on the back side of the hood, you went out my back door, and I had a little like 6x6 fenced in area. And across the street was a nightclub called Larkin's, which I had a VIP pass to that said no line, no cover, no tab, drink free. It's a hell of a VIP card. On the other side was a courtyard. Right? Everybody's apartment faced this courtyard, and that courtyard was a little rugged. It was a little rugged. There were the occasional roving gangs that might be walking through there. Right? There was some a lot of different gangs represented in that part of the city. But the rain started and it was coming down, and poor Spanky was going through it. And he just started into this kind of the panic scream that he used to do. He was about maybe a year and a half, 2 years old, and he just really started to go. And I grabbed him. He was wearing nothing but a diaper, and I had on a pair of shorts, and I took him outside in the rain. And I looked at his mom. I'm like, I'm not coming back in until this kid likes rain. Like I can't. There's no way I can deal with this for another 3 or 4 years. I cannot deal with it. I will be back when he likes rain. The rain coming off of the roof was coming off in like a downspout, and it was about this fat around and coming up about 30 gallons a minute. And we ran around outside, and I would dunk him into this water as it was coming down, and I had him laughing so hard. And at one point, I looked up, and the entire place, there were people standing on the outside watching me fart around with Spanky, right? The entire place. And these were people I was terrified of, for real. Like, we hid inside. But it's sort of, it was an icebreaker for the rest of the time that we lived there. We got to know everybody that day, for real. But the water coming down off that downspout was coming down so hard that the last time I put him in there, it blew his diaper off completely. But we spent about 45 minutes out there dancing in the rain, and I wish I had that on film. That one would have been good. I would have liked to have seen it from eyes other than mine. Like I remember that day, every bit of it, but I would have loved to have been able to see it. It's a memory that is so etched into my brain, but I don't, again, it's like when I did this one with Reese, the reason that was such a weird thing to me is because I've never seen the other side of that. Make sense? Like I'm always looking at the big hand side of that equation. I've never seen what the other side looked like. It's always weird when you see something from a perspective that you have never, ever seen before. Same view, different perspective really kind of changes things. Yeah. Let's see.